And you shouldn't be afraid of numbers. You're not in school anymore, you're not in high school, you're not in elementary. Nobody's gonna quiz you or test you on those numbers, on that math. What's up world? Welcome back to my channel. Vladi B here, and today we're going to talk about numbers. Numbers in business and in personal life in general. Numbers are extremely important. Numbers can actually guide you in achieving your goals. First of all, setting your goals and then achieving. Using numbers, that makes your goals very measurable. And measurable means achievable. The good thing about numbers is that numbers are all about logic. There are no emotions involved in numbers. So it's all logic. So that means that numbers will never lie to you. Numbers will tell you as is. Unless someone, of course, fakes those numbers, and then you should check your staff. Let's say, for example, you want to buy a new car. That's how numbers work in personal life. You should be able to look at your income, right, monthly income, and then see what your monthly expenses are, and then whatever is left over is what you can put towards a new car or any other purchase you may be thinking about. What about numbers in business? For both your personal life and your business life, numbers will be extremely important. But in business, they're important because they help you with planning. You always have to plan, putting together a financial plan. And financial plan is all numbers. First of all, you gotta put down on your plan what you're planning on achieving, right? That's your goal, financial goal. And then you have to calculate what needs to be done in order to achieve that goal. For example, if you're running a service business and you want to be 1 million gross profit, how many service technicians will you need to hire in order to achieve that goal? The lower your average ticket is, the more technicians you will need to achieve the goal. The higher your average ticket is, the less people you will need to achieve the goal. And you also have to make sure that the closing rates are up there, and it's all numbers. It's still all numbers. KPIs, key performance indicators. These are numbers that you have to track down all the time. And if you don't track those numbers, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where the company is heading to, whether it's going up or if it's going down. If you're not looking at the numbers, chances are you have no idea how your business is actually doing. And I've learned that the hard way. Remember, this channel is all about me sharing my personal experiences in life and in business. In the beginning, when I was starting to run the service business, the HVAC back in Canada, I didn't know my numbers. I was just doing everything by intuition. I was pricing based on intuition. I said, okay, if this company prices this much and this company prices that much for the same repair, the same service, I'm gonna price somewhere in the middle. That's how I did it. Wasn't a bad strategy in the end of the day. However, I didn't know how to plan, and I didn't even think about that. I just thought, business was nice and easy and very simple. And it could be if you know how it's done properly. But if you're not doing it right, you're gonna struggle. Most likely you're not going to enjoy this type of a lifestyle because you're gonna be always extremely busy and at the same time not making enough money. And the problem I found after doing some calculations that I'm actually pricing lower than what I need to price, and that was based on my overhead. So I had an office place that I was renting. I had a few technicians that I was paying them even when they were not working. So that really came back to me because I could not afford running my business that way anymore because I paid too much money to my staff that weren't actually doing anything to bring money back into the company. So I rely on them to bring money into the company, but they're not bringing any money into the company, yet they're taking money away from the company. And that was all my mistake because I didn't do the calculations. I didn't calculate how many sales do I actually need, how much each truck that's on the road has to bring back into the company for the company to survive and keep growing. You don't want to be stuck at the same place. You want to continue growing. That's the idea behind entrepreneurship, behind being a business owner. People that work 9 to 5, I find they usually get stuck in that comfort zone, and those people can work the same position for 10, 15, 20 years and more until they retire, and they will never want to change anything. The idea in business is that if you're going to run business that way, you will inevitably burn out, because business, whether you want it or not, but if you stay in business for over 5 years, you just build this kind of clientele that always stays with you. And then there comes a point where they all decide to call you at the same time, and there's going to be 1 year where you're going to be so busy that you're going to be so overwhelmed just with your existing clientele that you will see that you can't do it anymore on your own. You need more people to expand. And that's where people get burnt out because they're like, no, I don't want to grow any bigger. That's good enough for me. You want to plan, you want to have that financial plan. That financial plan also tells you how much money you actually need in order for your business to succeed, right? If you only have $10,000 in your bank account, that might not be enough to get it through the year in order to continue advertising, in order to continue training people, hiring people, and actually continue to grow. Maybe you need 50,000 for that, right? Maybe you need to start smaller, but you have to make sure that you plan everything so that you don't put yourself in a position where you're stuck, you're screwed. That happens to people that fail to plan. Those who fail to plan are planning to fail. That type of planning also shows you if you need a backup, like a reserve cash account or something like that. For example, you need to calculate that, okay, if everything goes south, everything goes wrong, and you have to shut it down, how much money should I have in order for me to survive and get back up on my feet? If you don't leave anything allocated for that, then when things go wrong, you end up with nothing. Basically, you're putting yourself at a strategically bad position. You're putting yourself in a position where if you make just one wrong move, that's checkmate to you, and you lost the game. And now it's going to be extremely hard for you to recover, and it's going to be tough emotionally, physically, spiritually, and just overall financially too. But if you allocate some money and you set it aside for an emergency when all else fails, now let's say you have that $10,000-$12,000 saved up, that's going to be enough for you to pay off your rent or your mortgage and some basic needs, and just survive through for a couple of months until you can get back up on your feet. So the most important thing I want to deliver to you in this short video is that numbers are extremely important, and here's what the problem really is. A lot of people are afraid of numbers. And you shouldn't be afraid of numbers. You're not in school anymore, you're not in high school, you're not in elementary. Nobody's gonna quiz you or test or exam you on those numbers, on that math. And you're allowed to use the calculator, you're allowed to use your phone, the internet, whatever you want to use. You're not limited by what you can use in order to figure out your numbers. So go ahead and use it, and don't be afraid. It's not like in school, once again, where you have to sit through an exam and you're not allowed to use the calculator and you're breaking your head and you can't remember the formula. Here, everything can always be right in front of you. Put it in writing, put it on a sticky note, put it on your desk where you can see it, and that way you can always go back and take a look and adjust whatever needs to be adjusted. Whenever you're doing calculations, the formulas are in front of you. Whenever you're thinking of creating a price, there's a formula there too, a tool that you will use in order to build your pricing. And the only math skills you really need for this type of a business ownership is simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and of course percentages. And I think percentages is what scares people the most. When people hear the word percentage and having to calculate percentage, just freaks them out and blows their mind, and they don't want to do it. But it's really simple. It's all a matter of practice. Just write out the formula. You just need to know what number has to be divided by with what number in order to find your percentage, or sometimes multiplied. And again, you have the internet and you have the calculator, so don't be afraid of those numbers. I actually have a lot of people asking me to help them out with setting a budget for themselves in order to save some money for a bigger expense, bigger purchase. And I love doing that. I honestly love sitting down with people and going over their expenses, seeing what can be cut out, what they actually don't need. And those people are always extremely grateful, and they usually see results within the first 2 months, because as soon as you start cutting things out, the stuff that you buy that you don't really need, like that extra coffee from Starbucks that you don't have to spend $5 on, you can get a coffee much cheaper elsewhere, or smoking, drinking alcohol, fast food all the time, every day, eating out, all those kind of things. Once you start cutting those out, unnecessary subscriptions on magazines you don't even read. People have a lot of subscriptions and a lot of things they pay for that they don't even remember, but slowly it adds up, $10 here, $10 there, that's $120 a year that you wasted on this, another $200 you wasted on this, another $100 you wasted on this, and in the end of the year there was $1,000 you could have put away just by canceling certain things out of your auto-pay stuff. It amazes me, like I'm guilty of that too. There's maybe a couple of subscriptions I have that I'm paying for that I'm not even using anymore, but I keep those to a minimum. I really do. I have the internet, I have my phone, I don't have cable, I don't even have Netflix. And those people are extremely grateful, and they tell me, man, I was able to put away $100 this month alone. I can't believe it, I have an extra $100 for the first time ever. And they finally see this saving account starts to grow, which is awesome. It's nice to see, and they're so happy, and it's better for their health, right? If they gave up on a bad habit of theirs, first of all, they're showing good self-discipline, right? Self-control, strength, huge strength to be able to say no to your own desires and your own cravings. That's the biggest thing. Most people can't say no to their cravings. They cannot say no to this McDonald's fries or this cigarette. So definitely make sure that you look at your budget, you look at your spendings, at how much you earn, and then start cutting things out. That's the power of numbers. Numbers don't lie. And it's crazy how much money you can save by cutting out junk food, cutting out alcohol, cutting out cigarettes, and all that kind of stuff. That just saves you a lot of money. So think about that. Don't forget about your numbers. Make sure you know your numbers for your personal life and for your business as well. Also, like this video to support my channel and help that YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber so that you don't miss any future uploads. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in one of my other videos.